Good morning, it's Sean from STK Markets here today. We've got John Forwood, the CIO of the Lowell Resources Trust. This fund has just performed outstandingly as it has for the last 10 years. We've been big supporters of it for a while. We've bought blocks on market, participated in placements. Now that there's a buyback and the NAV is a lot higher than where the share price is, we think this is a screaming buy opportunity for our investors. John, thanks for joining us. And yeah, welcome.
Yeah, great to be here, Sean. Great to be chatting again. Been a little while, so thanks very much for having me back on.
John, we've known each other for quite a few years now. You were one of the key figures when STK, or when I did the IPO for Southern Cross Gold. I took you up to site and you were the cornerstone investor. You're obviously very talented. That stock just went through the roof. Your funds performed through the roof. Your performance speaks for itself. A $2 NAV, congratulations. That means there's $2 of assets in the share. And with the share price currently at $1.55, there's a massive disconnect. Can you just give us a look at what's driving that NAV at $2?
We've had a great start, or a great first part of 2025 after a pretty rocky 2024. And I think, yeah, it's really interesting. It's been across the board. So I think, the fund, LRT, is a good barometer for the junior resources sector as a whole. But I think, the start of the year, very much driven by gold. A lot of interest coming back into gold. And we're seeing gold this morning at $3,400 an ounce, which is fabulous. But since sort of the start of the new financial year in Australia, from 1 July, we've actually seen a broadening of interest in terms of other commodities. So some of the other commodities that have been performing in terms of the equities that the fund's been invested in have been silver, graphite, manganese, and lithium. It's really pleasing to see that it's not just a gold-focused comeback for the sector.
That's great, John. The key thing, gold, is where I've got a lot of our money. I know the fund. You've been talking gold since I've known you, from 1,500 up to 3,400. You've been calling it the whole way. You've got Jackson Hole. The US is not fighting inflation anymore. What's your view on gold at the moment?
The response of the gold price and gold equities to what the market thinks is going to happen in US interest rates is critical. And I believe at the moment, that's the biggest driver. So, Jackson Hole, when Trump threatens to sack anyone on the US Fed Board of Governors, that is worrying for the US financial system, but it's very positive for gold. And I think it's inevitable that during the term of Trump's presidency, Jay Powell's chairmanship of the Fed is going to finish, within the next 6 to 8 months. And there may be other members that Trump starts to appoint. And those members, the new members coming onto the Fed, are going to be much, much more amenable to cutting interest rates, US interest rates. And that is super positive for both the gold price and for junior equities. So gold price is at really elevated levels, but we may look back in a year or two's time and go, well, gee, we ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, that's generally the feel we get around the markets as well, from other managers, which is great. Another commodity which has been going through the roof is tungsten. We know through our works with EQR, we did some money into our Monty about 5 years ago, which has performed very well in the last 12 months. There's just not that much tungsten floating around. There's not much on the open market if you're a producer. You're sort of caught in it at the moment because of what's happened in China. Have you got any messages on tungsten? It's one that you missed out on just before.
Market intel on tungsten is the same, and particularly in Europe, there's like a scramble by midstream and end users to acquire more tungsten. Just can't get their hands on it. So the price you see quoted north of $550 an MTU. That's a quoted price, but certainly anecdotally you're hearing much higher prices than that, and that they are fantastic prices, nearly double what they were only a few years ago. So there's not a lot of tungsten equities that can be played on the ASX. You mentioned EQR, probably the biggest Western world integrated producer. There's a couple of others as well, and we've been looking very hard, and we just made one new investment in tungsten player in the US, which is very interesting from a geographical and sort of jurisdictional point of view.
You've been doing a lot of work, John, keeping investors updated, because your fund performance has been sensational. You're always getting in front of people, going to conferences, but you've got a new series out called the Drilling Deeper series. What's that about for people who haven't got it? Because you're very good at putting information out there, consolidating it. how can my clients or investors get access to this series just to keep updated from the micro commodity or macro commodity things that you're putting out there?
Yeah, so drilling deeper, it's really two parts. One is a market prospects part, just to talk about what's happening really currently on the market. And the other one is a more historical look back, interviewing highly successful geologists and explorers as to how they did it. And so we've had some great presentations from people like Tony Rivera from Azure Minerals, Andy Beckwith from De Grey, Paul Roberts from Predictive Discovery, just to name a few. And they really tell you how they did it, what the secrets are to exploration success. And as we know, exploration success is one of the best drivers of multi-bagger share price increases. So we're trying to give viewers some insight into how to find their way investing in the best exploration companies.
I've noticed through our contacts, we're looking at conferences because we like to look at investors, look for new companies because you've always got to be hunting. And I know that's what you do in spades, John. What's your final third of the year looking like? We know conferences are double booked. Are you getting out there, looking for those new opportunities to get to invest into?
Yeah, sure. So got some pretty interesting and possibly entertaining site visits to do in some fairly exotic places. Planning to go over to Chile in South America, also visiting projects in Ecuador. And then I'm heading off to a couple of interesting conferences in Europe, in Germany and Switzerland in November. And on the way there, I'm going to go and visit a project in Cambodia for an upcoming IPO called Unity Metals, which we're quite excited about. So yeah, look out for some reports back from the Deutsche Goldmesse conference in Frankfurt and the Swiss Mining Institute conference in Zurich, both of which should be very well attended. And hopefully we'll be uncovering some more real deep value gems to invest in.
That's fantastic, John. You're still out there looking for opportunities, even with the success that you've recently had. One thing I want to point out to investors at the moment, John, is that you've got an NTA of $2. That's the asset backing of the shares that LRT is invested in. Current share price on the offer is $1.60.5. So there's a lot of upside just based from where your share price is to what the underlying assets are. And you've also got a buyback going on at the moment to support that share price as well. So that's why where I'm sitting at the moment. I think LRT, with your performance and your track record of performing quite strongly, and you made a comment at the beginning that your success is a barometer of the small cap markets or the junior resources rallying. Well, that's not really true. Your success is based on the team's ability to pick out the winners from the small cap markets. And even when the markets haven't performed, you've still delivered great results. So, I mean, it's an extra tailwind you get, but it's certainly not how you make your money. You're certainly very good at finding the little spots of gold in the overall market. So I think the tailwinds do help, but it's certainly the team that get the results, not the market. So congratulations there. And I think with that,
thanks, Sean.
With that success at the moment and with the low share price and the buyback, it's a screaming buy opportunity. So just wanted everyone to update that I noticed at the beginning of the week, and I managed to get John to have a chat with me. He's very busy. So John, thank you for your time. I do appreciate it, but there is an anomaly in the market where there is a very good opportunity for our listeners and investors. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And also, yeah, thank you for your time. I know you're a super busy guy, so really appreciate chatting and appreciate your support, which has been there for many years. So thank you very much.
You're welcome, John. Keep up the good work. We're very pleased to be associated with such success.